first part of the question, are emissions of VOCs measured or monitored? The answer was only in specialized studies such as currently in Garfield County. What happens if an area exceeds state standards? And his answer to that was there are no state standards and there are no federal standards versions of VOCs. Do you have a position on that? Should there be? Will there be? Is it under consideration?
You know, that's a tough question, and one that you're not the first person to ask it. And I think that it's one that comes up, is coming up more often. Is why has there not been studies done on health effects of VOCs and what the net results are? And my answer is I don't have one, and I don't know if there's going to be a health study. They started one, I think BLM starting an air study in the Peons Basin. I just think that it's a situation that there's a lot of questions and nobody's put together the answers for. And unfortunately, we have no standards for it. And every time air quality comes up, we just kind of we push it off to CPHE because we feel that it's their jurisdiction and we shouldn't be intervening. So that's a non-answer, I realize, but it's.
I'm Rodger, Steen, and I represent Community Alliance, which is a local citizens organization that believes we represent a fairly large portion of the citizens in Rock County. And our interest in this project being the oil and gas that's moving into the county, is in responsible.
Go ahead, keep talking then.
Okay.
Yeah, just talk.
Okay. Our goal is to push for responsible development of the resource. And oddly enough, it's identical to your goal. I guess we view the term responsible differently. Our goal is to push for minimization of impact using current technology that's available. We're not interested in obstruction. We're not interested in delay. We're interested in simply getting the best technology that's available, installed on the operations that come into account. And we realize that we're working with COGCC rules. Possibly the county could supplement these, and in some ways, industry can volunteer to do better. And we realize this is a complex mix of forces. I'm not going to talk about what I originally planned, because so much has come up here. First of all, I'm a professional that has worked in the power industry, in gas, in refining, in all those, in industrial minerals, and I can tell you that by far, this industry has got more flexibility and more we would like to do, and we will do if practicable than any other industry I've worked with. There's a huge amount of flexibility built in. There are some advantages to that, in that your people can work with, as you say, with risk. But on the other hand, we know that regulations drive the improvement in impacts. It's clear. Power companies would never be as clean as they are if regulations hadn't been applied to them and force them to do better. We think the industry can do better. One simple example, two examples, I'll give you only two. One is that the industry in Wyoming has requirements on it that are at least 1/2 the emission allowances of what's required in Rodger County through COGCC. I know this is what you say is Colorado Department of Health or CDPHE jurisdiction, but in fact, in reality, Rule 7 of theirs addresses only your industry. And I'm confident that if you were to go to the health department and say, we as an industry would like to or can tighten up, they do it in a heartbeat. They simply administer a rule for you. The air quality requirements in Sublette County near Pinedale are that you must control all of your VOCs regardless. There is no exemption for 5 tons or 15 tons a year from various devices. It can be done, and it should be done. And we certainly would like you to add that to the regs for Colorado, but if you can't, we'd like the allowance to have perhaps the county do that, perhaps even industry as well. We know industry can volunteer to do that. Wyoming has stricter regulations than we do. It appears from what you've said and what Kent Custer said, that air is somewhat of an orphan in Colorado. He was talking about working very closely, trying to work very closely with COGCC. COGCC seems to say that it's not ours, it's theirs. They have 4.5 people that do the administration or the compliance work, which is not nearly enough. They can't keep up with their permits, the permit applications. I frankly think that we've got an issue specifically with air, and that it is an orphan. Neither agency really seems to be serious about protecting our air. Did I hear? I want to know. Did I hear you say that if we collect or if you collect environmental data, such as data on water quality, groundwater quality, or air, you could have the funds available, but that you needed to control them and you needed to control the data? Is that what you were saying?
That's our preference, yes.
Did I hear you say that you have self-compliance reporting, and that if a project reports a violation of standard, that you don't feel it's appropriate to fine them? Is that what you said?
I wouldn't say that that's what I said that way. I would say that if a operator reports an unfortunate event, a spill, a leak of some sort, that it may not be considered a violation that we pursue through enforcement and fine them. If it's because a piece of equipment failed and they cleaned it up in a prompt way, we might, they may have it cleaned up before we even get there. So why would we allege the violation because of the equipment failure? We could, if they fail to clean it up, we may issue them a notice of alleged violation to get them to move towards cleanup. If they fail to move in a reasonable period in the time that we allotted, then we would pursue it through enforcement. So many of these things are cleaned up before we, in that 5-day period, they have to get us, they've removed the soil, they've done all of this, they told us what they did. They file their form with us and they tell us that. And we may inspect it. Typically we do inspect all spills, but if they've removed everything, there's not much to see.